to the board of directors and committee members, I am so grateful for the opportunity and extremely honored to be chosen to speak today as we recognize Dr. Martin Luther King's life. So thank you. Someone once said, if you can't be a pine on the top of a hill, be a scrub in the valley, but be the best little scrub by the side of the rill. Be a bush if you can't be a tree. If you can't be a bush, be a bit of grass, and some highway happier lake. If you can't be a muskie, just be a bass. Just be the liveliest bass in the lake. We can't all be captains, we've got to be crew. There's something for all of us here. There's big work to do and there's lesser to do, and the task you must do is near. If you can't be a highway, then be a trail. If you can't be the sun, be a star. It isn't by the size that you win or fail, but be the best of whatever you are. You can do anything. You can be who you want to be, go where you want to go, do what you want to do. And pardon me if I sound cliche, but today in America, I'm just simply speaking the truth. You can absolutely do all of these things, generally regardless of your race, culture, background, gender, and circumstance. 2 days from today, the first African American president of the United States of America will put his hand on the Bible and be sworn into office. And until recently, Black parents, Hispanic parents, Asian parents, Native American parents, parents of girls, and many others have felt like the encouragement they were giving their children was merely the perpetuation of a false hope, a non-existent American dream, and simply a lie. Just 17 years ago, one of the most notable race riots erupted in South Central LA in response to the beating of a Black man named Rodney King. And just about 2 weeks ago, another race riot erupted in Oakland, right next to the school I attend, University of California, Berkeley. But despite these setbacks, it is evident that you and I stand in a beautiful and unparalleled place in history. A place where we can look to the north and see unity, but still stretch to the south and feel struggle. We can grasp to the west, opportunity, and we can smell peace in the east. A place where no one but our children and future generations will be able to say, yes, of course we've had a Black president. Is that so rare? This is the same place in which I can stand before you today and speak this truth of progressing equality, although we have not reached the promised land. It is because your parents, my parents, someone somewhere at some point decided to invest in our present and their future. That someone is everyone, and that investment was every moment they lived, whether they realized it or not. Regardless of your motives, every action is an investment in the future with some sort of consequence. Countless youth devoted their lives to the struggle for equal treatment under the law, equal rights, and basic opportunities. These real mavericks invested their lives in the survival of the American dream and the rights promised to every citizen under the Declaration of Independence. They invested in the acknowledgement of the truth in the Declaration of Independence, that all men are created equal, which, believe it or not, is the basis of the foundation of America. When I speak of investments, I'm referring to the choice an individual makes to risk his or her savings with the hope and expectation of gain. You do not invest in an unfruitful endeavor. For example, if I were to tell you, and you knew good and well, that your BlackBerry would never work, would you still spend hundreds of dollars on it? No. Likewise, there is no point in planting a seed with no expectation of its growth. The Bible says, be fruitful and multiply. Therefore, if God gives you the means to plant a seed, he expects you to have it grow. An investment is a conscious decision to make a sacrifice of some sort. Basically, you put something in order to get something out. That something out, also known as your return upon investment, must always be greater than your initial input. This election, America invested its hopes, dreams, confidence in President-elect Barack Obama. We as a country believe that if we were to invest in this man, and consequently in hope, youth, and our future, we could fix many of America's problems. President-elect Obama has not even begun his tenure in office, yet he has already inspired and mobilized youth, created an interest in the welfare of America among children, and reminded adults that change is possible and it's coming. Therefore, our return upon investment is a brighter America, and a recascading of dreams and aspirations among the people. The term investment is normally used when speaking financially. However, with any investment, there are three basic components. One, you develop an interest in improving the quality of life for someone, and you take steps toward doing so. In this case, Americans saw a necessity for change and decided to vote on election day. Two, something happens. For example, someone works or someone fights. In this case, our President-elect Barack Obama campaigned, we listened, and we elected him to be the 44th President of the United States of America. Three, your return upon investment is more valuable than your original input. The greatest leaders in our world are those who not only apply as step one and make that initial sacrifice to invest in a person or an idea, but these leaders mastermind the processes necessary to move from step 2 to step 3, the success of a more valuable return upon your investment. Real leaders not only mastermind step 2 or the action behind their own endeavors, however, they can often be involved in others' investments. For example, our President-elect Barack Obama is instrumental in the investments many youth are making in their own lives by serving as an inspiration, a role model, and a godly example. He once said, Dr. Martin Luther King was not a president of the United States. At no time in his life did he hold public office. He was not a hero of foreign wars. He never had much money, and while he lived, he was reviled at least as much as he was celebrated. By his own accounts, he was a man frequently racked with doubt, a man not without flaws, a man who, like Moses before him, more than once questioned why he had been chosen for so arduous a task. The task of leading a people to freedom, the task of healing the festering wounds of a nation's original sin. And yet lead a nation he did. Through words he gave voice to the voiceless, through deeds he gave courage to the faint of heart, by dint of vision and determination, and most of all, faith in the redeeming power of love, he endured the humiliation of arrest, the loneliness of a prison cell, the constant threats to his life, until he finally inspired a nation to transform itself and begin to live up to the meaning of its creed. Like Moses before him, he would never live to see the promised land, but from the mountaintop he pointed the way for us, a land no longer torn asunder with racial hatred and ethnic strife, a land that measured itself by how it treats the least of these, a land in which strength is defined not simply by the capacity to wage war, but the determination to forge peace, a land in which all of God's children might come together in spirit of brotherhood. That something that happens in between the return and the investment can be the result of a human action like Dr. Martin Luther King's, an act of God, or the result of a human action coupled with an act of God. Dr. Martin Luther King organized a movement of people toward a step 3, a common goal of equality through the utilization of the power of nonviolent human action, while calling on the Almighty for a divine intervention. Dr. Martin Luther King took an interest in the people of his day, as well as future generations, and then decided to invest his time, energy, money, skills, and willpower, and ultimately his life, in the betterment of our reality. Dr. King once said, change does not roll on the wheels of inevitability, but comes through continuous struggle. And so we must straighten our backs and work for our freedom. A man can't ride you unless your back is bent. I am so eternally grateful to Dr. King and the countless warriors who fought for his dream, because they not only fought their own battle, but through words like these inspired a new America, where we can live in the reality he dreamt of. This is the same reality within which I can do what I want to do. I can go where I want to go, and I can stand before you and speak right now. Like a true leader, Martin Luther King did not expect to complete step 2 of his investment in the complete transformation of American civil rights alone. Instead, he mobilized an entire movement and an entire generation toward the renewing of closed minds and bitter hearts. He relied on the people he inspired, like a Barack Obama, like an Angela Davis, like an Andrew Young, and a Colin Powell, and a Rosa Parks, to push the movement forward. Among the many so inspired and mobilized by Dr. King, one leader, for example, is the Reverend Jesse Jackson. He has, unlike many in history, had the unique opportunity to witness firsthand the entire process of realizing a return upon a national investment. The young Reverend spent countless hours with Dr. King, helping him establish and lead the Southern Christian Leadership Conference in Chicago in 1966, which helped blacks purchase goods and services from other black contractors. Reverend Jackson participated in the Selma to Montgomery marches and worked with Dr. King as a conduit for change and progress, just as he supported and witnessed one of the first unmistakable successes in the struggle toward equality, the success of our President-elect Barack Obama. After 43 years, Reverend Jesse Jackson is still fighting the same struggle and serving as a conduit for the same change and progress, just as he was in the beginning of the civil rights movement. What is most important to me, however, is Dr. Martin Luther King, Reverend Jesse Jackson, Andrew Young, John Lewis, and the countless other black leaders and soldiers for civil rights did not quit at the first sign of success or failure. The civil rights movement did not end with Brown versus the Board of Education in 1954. It did not end with the beating and killing of Emmett Till in 1955, or the integration of Central High School in Little Rock, Arkansas in 1957. It did not end when James Meredith became the first black student to enroll at the University of Mississippi in 1962. The jailing of Dr. Martin Luther King in 1963, nor did it end when President Johnson signed the Civil Rights Act in 1964, prohibiting discrimination of any kind. The civil rights movement did not even stop when President Lyndon Johnson issued Executive Order 11246, enforcing affirmative action for minorities for the first time in history. But we have pushed, fought, struggled, and died to keep the hope of a return upon our investment in America alive. Even today, we labor to surpass unique obstacles facing our urban schools, redlining in our neighborhoods, and inequality in the workplace. Through my foundation, the Aaliyah Sweet Fragile Hearts Foundation, I grant wishes for siblings of severely disabled children. I have talked to countless siblings, and they don't ever ask me for a trip to Disneyland or a video game. Instead, they ask me to give their father a better job or to allow their family to be able to have a home. These are the times we live in. Times of great hardship and great opportunity, times of homelessness and poverty among the middle class, but optimism and endless possibilities. Times of hunger and genocide and great adversity, but also times of great potential through love and generosity. Times in which we must help one another and grant our fellow brethren the chance to invest and inspire. I went to Deerfield Academy in Massachusetts for boarding school high school, and our motto there was, "Be worthy of your heritage." Dr. Martin Luther King was worthy of his heritage, and our President-elect Barack Obama is worthy of his heritage. So what are we going to do? We can't leave the hope of the future to President Obama or his administration. We must act now. We must educate ourselves. We must wise up, and when we do so, no one can take that away from us. We must be worthy of our heritage, and through our work, force our future generations to be worthy of theirs. I'd like to end with a song, and if you all know it, please join in. But the song is called "They Can't Take That Away From You," and I think it's